Unit 2, Unit 2, 2.5 on equations. So an equation is when you have two expressions with an equal to in between. And solving equations means finding the value of the variable that makes the equation true. So if I say 7x minus 1 equals 20, then as soon as I find the correct x, so that 7 times that subtract 1 will equal 20, then I have solved it. Right, so how do we do it step by step? We want to get the x alone on the left-hand side of the equal to. So seeing as there are two terms there, the separate term must first jump across the equal to. So I would only have the 7x left on this side. On this side, first write the one that didn't jump. Then, if negative 1 jumped, you've got to do the opposite. It was subtracting, now it has to add. Now on the right, I can add those two numbers. And then as soon as I get to the stage where I have one term equals one term, then I can get the x alone by dividing or multiplying. At this stage, if I divide both sides of the equation by a 7, I will have an x alone, and x equals 3 is then my solution. Let's check. You don't always have to check, but just to show you what we mean by solving it. So if we have 7x minus 1 and we put a 3 in there, that would give me 21 minus 1, which is 20, which is what I wanted. So x equals 3 is a solution. Another example. Sometimes the x is underneath the line. 3 over x plus 7 is 9. First step is still take the separate term across. So I'm left with 3 over x. Now this becomes 9. Subtract 7. Sorry, I was already thinking of the answer there. So 3 over x is 2. Right, it was plus 7 on the left, so when it jumped, it became minus 7. Now this is a bit different. The x is underneath the line. I can't take the 3 away because then the x would still be left hanging underneath the line. So I have to now take this guy from underneath across. But underneath the line means divide. So if I take it across, I have to multiply. So I would know, I'm writing nonsense there. I'm going to go on here because my space is short. I would have 3 equals 2x. You multiply the x on the right. So I'm still not done. Now put both sides over 2 since I want my x alone on one side. And there's my answer for that one. X equals 3 over 2. You could also get equations with 2 or more brackets. And it's a slightly different beginning. So if I have 2x minus 5 times x minus 1 equals 0. Here you've got to see each bracket. Remember, each bracket is a factor. And you're going to take each factor and put that equal to 0 with an or in between. So from the left-hand one, you take the 5 across, so you get 2x equals 5. Then you divide by 2, so you get x equals 5 over 2. Or on the right-hand side, x equals 1. So why did we say or? Because x can't have two different values at the same time. If it's one variable, it can only have one value. So any one of those two values would solve the equation. Right, let's go on here and do one more where there's only one bracket, but actually the 2x counts as a bracket by itself. So you can always put brackets around it if you want to. It's still the rule of take each one, put that equal to 0 with an or in between. This one you're going to put both sides over 2. So x equals, and remember 0 divided by anything that's not 0 equals 0, or x equals -1. So the number of brackets is going to tell you how many possible answers you can have.